What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today I'm going to be doing a Memento deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck summons out one of the craziest boss monsters ever. Combined Creation, which is such a powerful card that's so easy to summon in this deck. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Memento Combined Creation. This card is absolutely crazy, coming out at 5,000 attack points and 5,000 defense points, which is absolutely massive. It cannot be normal summoner set. It must be special summoned from your hand or your graveyard by shuffling 5 other Memento monsters with different names from your hand and or graveyard into the deck or extra deck. And then while you control no other monsters, this card can attack all monsters that your opponent controls once each. And once per turn, if your opponent activates a card or effect except during the damage step, you can special summon a Memento monster from your hand or grave, which is an amazing ability to get the exact card you want on your side of the field. But this card is insane because it comes out at 5,000 attack points. We then play a single copy of Memento Horned Dragon, which is actually my favorite Memento monster because it's based on Tri-Horned Dragon. Definitely comment down below what your favorite Memento monster is, or a monster that you would like to see turned into a Memento monster. But this card is really awesome because you have 3 or more Memento monsters with different original names in your graveyard. You can special summon this card from your hand, which is a great ability to get this card out on your side of the field. It also has a really cool ability. If this card on the field is destroyed by card effect, you can actually target up to 3 face-up cards on the field, including a Memento card that you control, and destroy them, which is an insane ability. We then play 3 copies of Memento Seahorse. This card is really good as a 3-of in the deck, and it's really like just an absolutely crazy card. Is if you do not control any face-up monsters other than Memento monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is already a crazy powerful effect. But during your main phase, you can destroy a Memento monster you control and then send any number of Memento monsters with different names from your deck to the graveyard, whose total level are less than or equal to the destroyed monster's original level, which is super cool because if you pop this card, you can basically send up to level 5, which is really cool. We then play 3 copies of Memento Darkblade. Darkblade is really cool in this deck as a 3-up because if this card's normal or special summon, you can discard a Memento card to target a spell trap that your opponent controls and destroy it, and during your main phase, you can destroy a Memento monster you control, and if you do, special summon a level 3 or lower Memento monster from your deck to your side of the field, which is a really cool ability to help us get out our copy of Anduich. Anduich is definitely a 3-of in the deck. It's one of the most powerful cards in the entire build. As if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a Memento monster from your deck to your hand, basically being the Stratos of the deck. It also lets you target a level 2 or lower Memento monster in the grave, destroy a Memento monster that you control, and if you do, special summon the targeted monster, which is a crazy powerful effect. We then play 2 copies of Memento Gaddock. Gaddock is really cool as a 2-of in this build because it's actually based on Ghost of the Attic, which is super cool that it's actually based on that card. A lot of players are going to think this card is based on Karibo, but it's actually based on an old normal monster, Ghost of the Attic. But this card is really cool because if it's normal or special summon, you can target a Memento monster or Memento card in your graveyard, accept another copy of this card and add it to your hand. And if this card is sent to the graveyard by Memento monster effect, you can special summon this card, which is a really cool ability. We then play 3 copies of Memento Mace. Mace is great in this deck. This card is so powerful because it has the ability during your opponent's main phase. If you control a copy of Combined Creation, quick effect, you can discard this card and target a face-up monster your opponent controls and take control of it until the end phase, which is crazy that this card can just instantly change your heart and opponent's monster to your side of the field. It also has the ability during your main phase, you can destroy a Memento monster that you control, and if you do, add a Memento card from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card. We then play 2 copies of Goblin. Goblin is really cool in this deck, and I still feel like 2 is the perfect number in this build, because during the main phase, if you control a copy of Combined Creation, then quick effect, you can discard this card, and for the rest of the turn, your opponent cannot target Memento monsters you control with card effects, giving you a little bit of protection. And also during your main phase, you can destroy Memento monster that you control, and if you do, send 2 Memento cards with different names from each other from your deck to the grave, which is great to get more cards in the graveyard, so you can summon out Combined Creation. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's amazing as a 3-of, just to basically stop your opponent from touching the deck. This card is amazing as a 3-of in the build. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get in to the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Terraforming. Terraforming is really good as a 1-of in the build to help us get to our field spell. We then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is great to help us stop our opponent from hand trapping us while we're going in for all of our plays. We then play 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talents. This card is really good in the deck to be able to basically, if your opponent does hand trap us, to be able to draw 2, take control of an opponent's monster, or look at our opponent's hand and shuffle a card from it back in the deck, which is just really good to be able to do, and I absolutely love this card as a 2-of. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. You really don't need the extract all that much in this deck, so this card is really awesome in the deck to be able to just banish cards from your extract to be able to get to the exact cards that you need so you can summon out Combined Creation. We then play 3 copies of Bone Party. Bone Party is definitely a 3-of in the build, and it's just so helpful in this deck because it lets you destroy a Memento monster in your hand or face it from field to take a Memento monster from your deck with a different name and either add it to your hand or special summon it in defense position, which is great to be able to get an additional monster out on our side of the field. This card is basically Rhoda but better, which is so cool. And during your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target a Memento monster you control, and if it attacks a defense position monster this turn, inflict piercing damage to your opponent, which is crazy when combined with Combined Creation. We then play 3 copies of the Memento Field Spell. This card is so good as a 3-of in the deck. It's just a must 3-of that we want to get to as quickly as possible, because if your Memento monster battles, your opponent cannot activate any spell or trap cards until the end of the damage step, and if a monster you control is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can target one of those monsters and special Memento monster with a lower level from your hand or grave, letting you replace the monster that just got destroyed, which is really good. It also has once per turn during your end phase, you can target a Memento spell or trap in the grave and set it to your side of the field, so you can recover cards like your copies of Bone Party, which is amazing. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with a single copy of Fracture Dance. Fracture Dance is really good as a 1-of in the build, because if you control a Memento monster, you can target a card on the field and destroy him. Then if you control a Memento copy of your Combined Creation, you can destroy one more card on the field, giving you a double pop. This card is really good as well because when an attack is declared involving your Memento monster and an opponent's monster, you can banish this card from the grave, and all monsters that you currently control, or all monsters your opponent currently controls, lose 1,000 attack points until the end of the turn, making it easier to OTK your opponent with your copy of Combined Creation. We then play a single copy of Cranium Burst. Cranium Burst is a card you want to get to as quickly as possible once you put your copy of Combined Creation on your side of the field. So while you control a copy of a Memento monster, your opponent's monsters that can attack must attack the Memento monster that you currently control with the highest attack, which is usually going to be Combined Creation with 5,000 attack points. And when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, except during the damage step, you can target a Memento monster that you control that's your copy of Combined Creation that you control, and it loses exactly 1,000 attack and defense points, and if it does, negate the activated effect, and you can only activate the effect of this card once per chain, basically giving you with your copy of Combined Creation and this card 5 negates, which is absolutely crazy, and why your copy of your Combined Creation is such a powerful boss monster when you combine it with other cards in this deck, which is why it's Combined Creation. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is definitely a 3-of in the build just to stop your opponent's monster effects and lock down entire columns of spells and traps. This card is really good as a 3-of in the deck, especially with our copies of Ash Blossom, just to give us some hand traps to stop our opponent. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start with a single copy of Typhon. Typhon is definitely a one-of in the deck because it's so easy to put on your side of the field. And it's just a really good card to be able to make in this deck, just in case you need to put a really powerful boss monster on your side of the field. We then play a single copy of Double A Zeus. Double A Zeus is just really good to be able to make on top of one of your copies of, say, Typhon, or a monster you take from your opponent with Mace, which is just really nice. We then play a single copy of Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel is just a good option to be able to make in the deck, and it's a really good card overall that you don't even need a tuner to be able to summon out this card, which is really cool. There's a lot of lines that you can use to be able to go on this card, and when it does touch the field, it does banish something, which is really cool. We then play a single copy of Underworld Goddess because it helps you spot remove cards off the field that are basically towers like monsters, like Combined Creation. We then play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code's great to be able to pop multiple cards on the field, and it's just a really good option. We play a single copy of Nightmare Unicorn to spin stuff, one copy of Selene to be able to climb into your copy of Access Code, which is just really nice to be able to do, one copy of the Dark Charmer because this card is a great option to be able to make in the deck, to be able to bring monsters back from the graveyard, one copy of Nightmare Phoenix to be able to pop spells and traps, one copy of Nightmare Cerberus to pop monsters, which is just also very good in the deck, especially since these cards help you get Memento cards into the graveyard. We then play a single copy of Donner. Donner is really good to be able to pop cards on the field. Play a single copy of SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight can be changed out for like a Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax if you want to, or anything else like that. You really don't need the extra deck all that much in this build, which is why we play cards like Pot of Prosperity to help us dig into the deck. But you really can replace this card with anything else because you don't go into it all that often, but these are just really good options you can play in the extract. For more budget options, you could play like a Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax if you want to. But this card is a double interruption, which is why I play this card in the build. We then play a single copy of IP Masquerena to be able to make your copy of SP Little Knight or your copy of your Nightmare Unicorn. During the opponent's turn, we play a single copy of Link Rebo to be able to block attacks, which is really kind of important to be able to do. And I really like this card in the deck, just in case our opponent makes something bigger than our copy of Combined Creation, or we drop the attack points down of Combined Creation with our copy of Cranium Burst. So it's a really good card to be able to play in the deck. And then finally, a single copy of Relinquished Anima. Anima is really good to be able to basically take control of opponent's monsters by equipping them to this card and getting them out of the way so that you can basically deal with their field. So that's it for the deck, guys. Again, you don't super need the extra deck yet until we get the fusion monster, but these are just some options you can play. You can change out the SP Little Knight if you want to for a more budget option like Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax. You can change out the Chaos Angel for any other Link monster that you want to. Same thing for Typhon. If you want to change it out for something else, you definitely can for other budget options like your copies of Appaloosa, your Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax, stuff like that. Even Boral Sword will be an option you could make in this deck, or even Boral Load for another budget option. But these are just some suggestions you can play for the extra deck, just generic Link monsters and basically Typhon and Zeus. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Memento before, you should definitely give this deck a try, especially when they get their fusion monster. It's going to be absolutely crazy. It's super fun to be able to play. I love being able to summon out the copy of Combined Creation because it's just such a cool boss monster. And this deck being able to be based around all sorts of old school cards is just really, really cool. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.